Looking at Alabama, looking in particular the black belt, right? It's known, right, because of the soil, I guess, over the generations, and big reason, I guess, because of all the cotton farming and stuff that's gone in that region. So what I did is, what you're seeing here is this is a kind of a section of Hale and Perry County, right?
Okay.
New Bern is right here. And I remember when I talked to you, it's been a little while ago, but I remember I brought a map and I said, hey, Ernie, in relation to where New Bern is, where do you think the sharecrop plantation was that you were born and raised?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know, and then you kind of put some dots on the map where you thought that might be, right? And so what I did is I kind of provided a little more detail and did a little bit of investigating on where exactly could this sharecrop property be, right?
Okay.
And the good news is that in this region, there's not a whole lot of farms or areas where you would think that a sharecrop farm or plantation would exist. And you would also think, I would think that wherever one was, I wouldn't expect it to be completely gone, like every single building, no trace of
Yes,
of all that.
That's what I would expect. Yeah.
So what I did is I found three in particular places or properties near so in the area where you pointed out in relation to New Bern. What I did is, well, let me get my glasses too. I did some measuring as far as distance in miles and stuff as well, to kind of get an idea.
Boy, you've been busy.
I've been busy. So, so you see this particular one here. I just named it Hatch Plantation number 1. That is 2.61 miles from New Bern, from downtown New Bern. And then I have another one here. See here, what I'm calling Hatch Plantation number 3, which is 3.717 miles, and then Hatch Plantation number 2, which is just over 3 miles. Those are the three what I would consider possible properties or plantations that you may have grown up in. I just want to kind of see if it sparks some memories in your mind. A couple other points of kind of reference. Remember Scott Station, right?
Yeah.
So Scott Station, I found Scott Station. I found the location of Scott Station. The building is not there any longer, apparently.
Oh.
Nor is the railroad tracks. It doesn't look like. Although I did find the railroad tracks from an old map, so I know the lines, but it doesn't look like it's running anymore, like it's operating anymore. And I need to do some more research on the history of that. But the distance from downtown New Bern to the location of Scott Station is 5.51 miles, it looks like.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. I remember you told me about how you and your grandfather had literally walked from Scott Station to the property, right? Which is incredible as well. And I think I even measured the distance between the Scott Station and the properties. A couple other points of interest here. Remember the school you were talking about, the country school you were talking about that you went to, right? So the country school that was near the church. There's a church that I located, so see, this sparks a memory for you as well. So out of these three properties, these possible properties, up here to the north, exists to this day, is called the African Methodist Church. Now, I don't know if it was always called that, but I bet it was probably always a Methodist church of some sort.
It was a
Right?
Methodist.
Yep.
It was a Methodist church.
And remember you telling me that church was Methodist, that was next to your school. So I found that literally. What I did is I looked and I zoomed in. So this is what it's called, commercial imagery, basically. This is Google. Google has they've paid for satellites to take pictures of the world, and in particular this area of the Black Belt of Alabama. So I was able to zoom in on that, so that's located there. That's where that church stands. So you see, it's to the north of those three properties. And remember you telling me about how you used to walk to the school, right, from the property, right?
Yeah, walk right through the woods, right through
Exactly.
here and come up with the school.
Exactly. And so I was thinking about that, and that really helped me out a lot to get the clues, of where these properties could be, because you had, as a child, you had to be able to walk to that school, and it couldn't be like 10 miles, and it couldn't be something crazy. It would have to be something doable. What I noticed is this is where my Indiana Jones came out here. Is I looked to the if you're facing the Methodist church, to the right of the Methodist church are these two areas here. First of all, it's an open field, right? Mm-hmm. So that this area was cleared for a reason. Typically you don't have these very flat. There's just no brush. There's no trees. It's cleared. You look closely, and there's disturbed earth here and here. I looked even closer, and there, right here, is a foundation of a building.
Mm-hmm. It sure is. Yeah.
And so, in the church is sitting right here.
Okay.
And so when you think back, and this road probably didn't even exist back in that day, because you don't remember any paved roads back in the day. No. Yeah, and
but there was a road though, but it was dirt.
It was dirt. Mm-hmm. So as far as your memory serves you, when you went to school and you remember the schoolhouse, what was in front of the schoolhouse? Was there a dirt road or something? What did the front of that schoolhouse look like? Was
a dirt road.
Dirt road. Mm-hmm. I wonder if this road is the same.
That's the same road. They just paved it since then.
Do you remember seeing the church that was next to the school?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is the church there today. I'm thinking that
it was called Oak Grove Methodist Church back in the
back.
day.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good to know. I will definitely look into that Oak Grove Methodist Church. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the building looking something like this?
The church itself?
Yes.
It looked just like that. And the only thing, and this is the road that went in front of it.
Right.
But the only thing that's missing in your picture here,
yes,
was a big oak tree.
There was a big oak tree in front of the church, or near the church?
Near the church.
Like somewhere like around in here? Or, do you remember it was to the left or the right of the church?
It was
if you were facing the church.
If you're facing the church, it was to the left of the church.
To the left of the church. So it would have been somewhere around here then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Big oak tree.
A big oak tree.
Oh,
and
wow.
That's why they call it Oak Grove Methodist Church.
That makes sense. Well, that's interesting. I will definitely look into that. It gives me more clues. But yeah, so I thought this was interesting.
That's it.
Do you think that's it?
Yeah, the building was there. That's where the building was.
Because and so if you look at it
now, yeah,
from the property, so you'll like this as well. So these are the three possible properties. Check this out. Remember the creek that you were telling me about that you used to swim in with your friends to get cool in the summer? Mm-hmm. Well, I looked very closely, and there's really only one creek that's in reasonable walking distance. There's another creek that's a lot farther, but there's this what they call Big Prairie Creek. It actually kind of winds down quite a bit, but this is definitely within walking distance. If you remember as a child how long it took you to walk to that creek, there's the creek, and if you were to say, out of these three properties, if you remember, how long did it take you to walk to that creek? So if this is the property, it looks like it wouldn't take too long. These other properties, you'd have to walk a little bit.
Well, yeah, and this is the latest of this would have been the last of the Hatch properties. This was early early on.
Oh, really?
When I was a kid,
Yeah.
when I was 7 years old, we were here. But I was 15 years old when we were here.
So you remember the new property being more towards the west then, possibly?
Mm-hmm. More toward New Bern.
More towards New Bern.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, matter of fact, probably midway between.
Interesting.
Where,
So I wonder. So here's New Bern. I wonder. And so, and always keeping in relation to, if you can remember, so with the new property, how far was the new property to the creek and to the church and the school, you think?
Oh. Well, we left that area when we get to the new property. We left that area, and it would have been miles.
Miles, okay. So that's interesting. So maybe, do you think maybe the new property's around here then?
Well.
So here's New Bern. You mentioned midway. Do you think when you guys moved to the new property, was it maybe even closer to New Bern than this property there, or?
Yeah.
So because the other thing I noticed too is that when like I said, I don't even think that road was there back in the day, but this is 48.
Mm-hmm. You mind if I put my mask on? I don't want to start coughing.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yep. And I'm not all that worried, to be honest with you, because I think I still got some antibodies. I feel a little bit bulletproof. A little bit.
Just a little bit. So now you put on I think that's incredible that you found what you found, man.
Yeah, I had this really working on me, wanting to get it nailed down where your dad actually lived, and where his footprints were.
Yeah.
Just to capture that environment.
Yeah.
You definitely in the area though.
No, I can't get over that.
So where you guys moved, and you think maybe more.
Well, yeah. If New Bern is all the way down here,
Mm-hmm.
then we moved somewhere about in here.
Okay. And the new place that you moved, did it have a big farm also, or was it just a house with a little bit of land?
Well, it was quite a bit of land.
Was it a farm? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Okay. And so they actually grew stuff there? They actually grew maybe cotton or something?
Yeah. What happened there is my brother, which I showed you his picture, Robert bought. I think it amounted to about 20 acres.
Yeah.
Down here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Hatch family moved from up here down here, and that's where that became home.
Okay.
That was home then. That's where, matter of fact, that's where they died.
And that's where your father passed away, and where your grandfather passed away, right? The new property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's where my father passed away there.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandfather had to move back closer in this direction, not back up, not all the way up here, but somewhere about probably not far from there, within maybe a mile or so.
Now, so why do you think he had to move back?
Well, they had gotten old, and so my sister was living in this area, so my grandfather moved, and that's why you see the picture with the horse.
Okay, so when you visited when you had the camera that you had, did you visited your grandfather in the place where he lived?
Not there. I didn't live there. I never lived there. That's where my grandfather
eventually went.
Eventually, after he got old.
Did you visit him before he moved when he got old?
Mm-hmm.
So when you were getting out of the military and you had your camera, and you visited, then were you visiting the new property?
Yes.
With Robert's property?
Well, yes, which was about in here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then I rode the horse up to.
Oh, really?
I rode the horse up to this property, up to here where my grandfather.
And you visited him there?
Right.
Oh, wow.
That's so that's.
Oh, so that's when you took the picture of your grandfather.
Yep. On that with the horse there.
Oh, wow.
You got the got the vicinity. You got it pretty well.
Yeah. So if you were, tell me this, if so when your grandfather moved up further here with your sister, was that just a little property, like a little house on a little property? That wasn't a big farm or anything like that?
No, it wasn't a big farm.
That was just a house that your sister lived at, and he went there to be with her.
Be with her, and now the farmland was my uncle Willie lived in. That was his area and his farmland.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandpa and my sister. Well, my sister worked for him.
Okay.
For my uncle.
For your uncle, yep.
And my grandpa just stayed there with my sister, but he's gotten pretty old by then. He wasn't working too much. At the time, you see him sitting out there with the horse.
Right.
So, but anyway,
that's interesting.
That area would have been not far from here. Matter of fact, it could even be that. It could even be that, but it wouldn't be a hatch plantation though.
And I just kind of named those areas that's not. I don't know that they're called that, but
this looked like and it would be about the same location, about the same as from here. Now this would have been correct. This is hatch plantation up here. Some of these, one of these two, or maybe.
So in your estimation, when you were looking at in relation to the school, where the school was, and in relation to where the creek was, do you think one of these is more likely to be the original hatch plantation over this area over here?
The original hatch plantation, yeah. And this was not hatch plantation here.
Mm-hmm.
This was Curry.
That was what Robert bought, you think?
No.
That was Will.
But
your uncle's area.
No, not even one of the hatches.
Oh, really?
This would have been a Curry, but his name was Willie. That's where Willie Curry.
Will? Oh, really? Will? Mm-hmm. Was that in Curry in relation to your grandfather?
Yeah,
Curry.
That was his son.
I got you.
Mm-hmm. So now he has gone. My grandfather, Curry, Tom Curry,
yeah,
has gone to this area here, and he lives in a little house. He and my sister and their kids live in a little house, and they work for Willie Curry,
which was his son. Oh, wow. Oh, well, that's interesting. And do you remember, I guess there must have been a road that went down.
Yeah, there was a road there. I've traveled that road many times.
Because that road actually goes up pretty well up near the church area there. And hits the road
right here.
So you went to the school that's at the top of that road?
Reynolds Chapel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now.
Do you recognize Reynolds Chapel?
Oh yeah. Reynolds Chapel. And I went to school there. 4th, 5th, and 6th is where I ended up there. The other place that we looked at was Oak Grove. And it was okay. No, okay. That would have been here, but the school was somewhere up here. You showed it a while ago.
Yeah.
The church.
Right.
Where the church and everything.
Yeah, there's the church.
Mm-hmm. Now that's just an inset from over here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Now So now that church and the little schoolhouse was down, just down past the church, about like far from the church is from here to the top of the hill there.
Mm-hmm.
Hill
Right,
there.
right, right,
Just down the hill.
right.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the little schoolhouse that I was attending when the skunk
The
sprayed
skunk.
me. Yeah. But now I went to school there from beginning of the school year, September,
Mm-hmm.
to December, to Christmas break.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I left. That's when my mother stole us away, 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I finished school that year in Greensboro, which is
Which is up here.
Yeah.
Yep.
that's right.
Yeah,
You got
right,
it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
got it pinpointed. Yeah.
Mhm.
From Newbern, it would have been up here.
Right. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've been spending some time looking at Alabama.
You sure have. You sure have. And you got it pretty well too.
Yeah, these kinds of things intrigue me. So, but then when you came back, when your grandfather picked you up from your mother's house and brought you back to the Surecrop
Right.
property, then he put you back into school, right?
Okay. Well, when he picked me up, and we went back there, Scott Station.
Mm-hmm.
So we got off the train and walked from there on up to his little house up there, and yeah, that's when I went back to.
Now that second school that you went to in this area, where was that in relation to the first school, the first country school that you went to in that area?
It would have been, okay, the first school would have been way over here somewhere.
Yeah.
The second school would have been, in relation to that, would have been down this way somewhere.
Oh, it's down here.
Well, I can't do that.
Cause
It would have been in that direction.
so you think it was south? So the second school, it was towards the south.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall what it was called or?
Reynolds Chapel. You got it listed on there somewhere.
Interesting.
I saw it on there.
So let's see here. So this.
There it is, right there, Reynolds Chapel.
So Reynolds Chapel was. It was a chapel. Did you go to school in that chapel?
No,
Was that what the school's?
The schoolhouse was a little one-room schoolhouse. As far from the chapel, from here to that house up on the hill.
But was that the second country school you went to, or was that the first?
That was the second.
The second one.
School I went to, but I went to Oak Grove. Where you saw Methodist Church, somewhere they changed the name because it was called
Oak Grove that was the first country school that you went to.
That was the first country school I went to.
Okay.
And then that was the second. Also, the second time I went was at that same school, but my brother was not the teacher there at that point, particular time. At the second time I was there, some preacher.
Huh.
Was the teacher. And that's when I told you we boys, several of us boys would slip out one by one.
Right.
And then when there got 5 or 6 of us out there, we had a little ball game. We started a ball game, and he'd come to the door. Hey, you boys, you know your lesson? Yes, sir. Play on there.
Play on. What kind of ball game were you playing?
Baseball.
That's baseball?
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a little ball, and we.
Is that a stick or something?
If it was 6 of us, we'd probably have 2 or 3 out there, and we batting the ball.
Did you have a proper bat to use, or
just
use?
Whatever we found, like that. It was a stick. But now, okay. When I first went there, I was 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I went there half a year. And then the next fall when I started, I was in the, I started there, I was third grade. I went in I started in the first grade. My mother came and stole us away and put us in school in the little town, Greensboro town. So they skipped me from the first grade to the third grade. So then, when I went back to this little school, I was in the fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I also attended fourth grade at Reynolds. That was at Oak Grove.
Mm-hmm.
Started out at Oak Grove, but I ended up still in the fourth grade at Reynolds Chapel.
But Oak Grove, as far as you know, Oak Grove and Reynolds Chapel are two different locations.
Oh yeah.
And there are how far apart were they? Would you say?
Quite a distance.
Yeah.
Oak Grove was the one up here.
Yeah.
Reynolds Chapel.
Yeah.
Well, not in respect to your matter or something else, but Reynolds Chapel.
Yeah.
That doesn't. From Oak Grove would have been from Hatch Plantation. Oak Grove would have been up here, but Reynolds Chapel. My recollection with Reynolds Chapel would have been back down this way.
Do you? I wonder. I'll have to look that up. I'll have to look up Oak Grove and see what I can find on that. The one thing that I found that was interesting is that it almost looks like there were two buildings there. There's at least one building there, and then there's something else here.
Oh.
And I'm not sure what that was. Did you guys have like a baseball field or some kind of special area to that may have looked more sandy, or do you remember anything like that?
Do you have anything beyond this?
And so what's over here is that chapel.
Oh yeah, okay.
And that's what that is.
Okay.
And then if you look further this way, then that's when you start seeing this.
Okay. From the chapel, there's a parsonage. You know what parsonage is?
Not sure.
Preacher's house.
Okay.
Okay. Was located somewhere this side.
So it was on the right side of the chapel was his house.
So now one of these things that you're looking at here might be the foundation
of his house, and maybe that's a school.
Of a house and the school.
I see.
What?
So do you remember his house? So you remember his house then being in between the chapel and the school?
His house was. If I'm facing the chapel here.
Yeah.
His house is to the right.
Mm-hmm.
And the school is to the left. So the chapel is in between his house and the school.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's a distinct possibility. There's buildings down here that look a little newer, but I'll look and see what I can find on the left-hand side of the church.
Mm-hmm. Now that's possibly that they could have rebuilt it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if they did, they put it in pretty much in the same place.
Right.
And I guess that would stand to reason that they had the foundation and everything.
Yeah, I was wondering. I think maybe some of it might be original, and some of the other parts might have been built on or remodeled, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see here. So, if you were to pick out of which one of these plantation properties to be the first one in relation to the creek and the school, which would you say?
Probably the one up here, because I don't remember any. Well,
You don't remember walking too far to get to the school?
right, just through the woods, of course, but not too far.
Yeah, and this looks like a patch of woods here,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some tree lines, and then more woods there.
And And the building, the school would have been up here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right in there.
Right.
So all those buildings we were looking at would have been.
Right. Absolutely.
Over that way.
So what we'll do is then look at it a little bit closer. So that's the first hatch property that I identified. This is a bird's eye view looking down at it. I don't know if you remember the layout of your dad's house as compared to your grandfather's house and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Was it far away or not that far away where your grandfather lived compared to
Not far away at all.
where Hatch lived?
Right. No. So now what are you showing?
So this here is a larger of this inset right there.
Okay.
That's what that one is. It's a bird's eye view of it. And then this is looking from the road that goes in front of it, looking at the property. It's a little bit difficult to see much, but there's some houses there. But there's some old structures here, and that right there is this. There's some old. This whole area here looks to be very, very old.
Mm-hmm.
And the newer structure seems to be there. But I don't know if that, in the distance from the road to your guys' property, I don't know if that rings any bells there. But so there's that property. And then what I did is I looked at, let's see here. I don't know if I was able to get. Let's see here. Okay, so this is more Scott Station. Let's see here. Tell you what. So I know what. Let's see here. So this will kind of blow your mind a little bit here. So I'm going to access commercial satellite imagery. So let's see here. So Perry County, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And see those Marion there, and so in New Bern there. So what I do is I can literally start zooming in.
Now I have ties to Marion too.
Do you?
Oh yeah. That's why I bought my school clothes, the tie that I showed you.
Yeah.
That came from Marion.
So the school clothes that the skunk squirted. Did those come from Marion?
Yeah, well that too, but that wasn't one. But you remember the necktie that I showed you?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The little striped neck.
Yeah, that came from Marion as well.
That was my graduation.
Nice.
8th grade graduation outfit, and it came from Marion.
Nice. Okay, so here's the Reynolds Chapel there.
Okay.
Here's the 3 properties. There's the first one that I showed you, the bird's eye view. So we can look in there and zoom in, and there's that property. And then here's these other 2 properties. This is the first bottom one here. Got this Russian road. Now some of these roads were given names afterwards too, so I don't necessarily know that was the name of the road when you were there.
No,
But that's the property on the bottom of the 3. So there's one there, there's one there, there's one there. I showed you that one and that one there, and then this is the one here you might think is the one that so this is basically that property. Now you can see there's a number of houses, structures there.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if any of those remind you of something.
No. Yeah, this I don't know if they're still the same houses or whatever, but anyway, this would have been the main house.
Yeah.
Right here.
Right. Yeah.
And
then where your grandfather lived.
And that's why my father. That's where
Where
my
your father lived, yeah. Mm-hmm.
My father lived here, and his kids early on lived here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See if I know this road.
And that goes up to the main road that eventually leads up to where the school would be.
Lowfleet Drive.
Like I noticed that, like I said, I noticed that some of the streets changed their names over time because of different things that happened.
Mm-hmm. Well, if in fact this is a house,
Mm-hmm.
then my grandpa Curry would have lived about here, or either here or here, whichever one of these is a house.
Oh, really? So that close? There's some properties right there. See, this is the house, and then there's some structures here,
Mm-hmm.
right there. So you think about that distance.
About that distance, yeah. About that distance.
And
from the main
and you
house.
had mentioned that there were a number of small wood houses beside your grandfather's, right?
Besides his, yes.
Yeah. How many would you say were beside your grandfather's house?
Those small type.
Yeah, those similar little cabins or whatever.
Well, there was I distinctly remember two of them because my grandpa lived in. My grandfather lived in one, and then the other.
Mm-hmm.
Of those two.
Were those the only two on that little patch of property, or were there more? You think?
Of the little type houses, those are the only two. And the first one that I'm remembering was a 2-room house.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we were all gone, when my mother came and took us away,
Mm-hmm.
He no longer needed that two, so he moved from there to a one-room house.
So with the 2-room house, it was a bedroom and a kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the 1-room house, I guess they had like a little wood stove in there or something in the one room with him.
No fireplace.
A little fireplace.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really have a kitchen per se, kind of.
No kitchen.
Yep.
No kitchen, no bedroom. The bed was right in the same room.
Same room, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. But now, in that location,
Mm-hmm.
only he and I stayed there.
Right. Just you and him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then there's the creek. See, this is the creek.
That's probably the creek right there.
Yeah, because that's not far from the school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not far from the property.
That's
How long do you think it took you to walk to the creek from the property?
well. Probably, but it wasn't this property up here that we were talking about. From when the creek got in trouble.
Yeah.
With the creek, it was the other property that we moved closer to Newbern.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, very good. Yeah, and that was about halfway in.
Yeah, about halfway.
Okay, that's good. So let's see here. Let's and that's good to know. So yeah, there's Scott Station right there. And now this is the thing. This is another mystery. You have to. I don't know how much you remember about Scott Station, but there's 2 possible locations as I see it for the actual building that I guess that Scott Station had. You know, where you would possibly buy a ticket, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a foundation here, and so the two crossroads are the 20 and the 23, and so to the south a little bit, there's this foundation that I saw right off the highway, and I can imagine tracks coming across here. So there's that foundation there, as you can see, and it's quite a healthy foundation. Something was there, and then the second location is up a little bit. It's there, and it appears that the part of the building is still exists. And I don't know how much you remember of that Scott Station and what that looked like.
Nothing actually, because that's when I was 7.
And that was a building, a train station in the area, but I don't know if it's the exact one. But I don't know if that rings any bells.
What's it called? What does that say?
Back there it says something KS or WS Davis, something like that, or Davenport. I don't know. I can't read the whole thing because it's blocked. But I was wondering if that building
would have been Scott Station.
Yeah.
Possibly.
And that's isn't that something? That still sits there. That still sits there to this day. Because what I'm able to do, this might freak you out a little bit. What I'm able to do here is like the Reynolds Chapel. I'm able to not only zoom in, and so there's Reynolds Chapel. I can literally place marker there. Let's see here. Let's see if it'll behave for me. Maybe it doesn't want to play nice with me. Yeah, it's interesting. Let's see what this is doing now. Yeah. And Marion. Goes 48. There you go. It doesn't want to do it for me today. But I'm normally, let's see, normally I can get to the street level as well. But
You on Google Earth?
yeah, but yeah, so that's what I did there is I was literally in the street level, and you can kind of pan around and look around like as if you were standing there. But yeah, those are the two possible locations of Scott Station. But like you said, you were 7 years old, right?
I was 7 years old, and that was the only time I was at Scott Station.
Is that one time?
At one time, we got off the train there and walked.
Right. Yeah. So next question is, I was going to ask you if you could recognize one of these houses as being most similar to your dad's house, Mr. Hatch. And so these are some houses in the area. I'll let you look those over. Remember you said it was a white house that had some pilings of some sort.
Yeah, but it was single story. So
that's a single story house there.
That looks like it right there.
That's interesting because that's actually called a Hatch house.
Is that what they call it? Right?
That's what it's called.
I slept in that room right there.
So how similar does this house look to your memory of it?
Very similar. Very similar. All this, the porch and everything.
Do you remember the red brick in the front and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very similar.
Man.
Boy, you on it, man. How do you get that name? How do you know that's the name?
Man, I
they
did some
call it?
serious research,
Let me get a picture
ridiculous,
of
like hours.
Let me get a picture of that one.
Yep. We
You think that's it, huh?
that could very well be, because it was certainly similar to that. And I slept in this area of the house. Now the girls were back here. Cleo and Dot were back there, and my dad, me, my dad, and Marlena, which was his mother, stepped in this area here, and these.
It looks like there's a structure, to the side there. I don't know if you remember that or not. Like I say, with these properties, sometimes you don't know what was built on later as well. But I don't know if that rings any bells.
Mm-mm.
But this brings up memories.
Yeah, it was where we lived. Where we lived was very, very similar to that.
And you remember being on this porch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we used to sit on that porch all the time.
Well, I think that when by Warren saying that that's the name of that thing is the Hatch House.
Yes, that's the thing.
That gotta be the one.
I mean, because this is close. This is real close in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine how many Hatch families would be in that area.
No, it was the only one. The only one. If it was labeled Hatch House, and it does look like.
It looks like that, and you remember the brick. So there's brick in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's key.
The porch, the front porch was, just like that. The front porch was just like that. But now, when we walked in here, there was a door, and I can't tell.
That's a door right there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we walked in straight into it, and you could go to the left or the right or left.
Oh me. And these were just other houses that I came across in the area. But like you said, it was a single-story house.
Single story.
And none of these houses look as familiar as that one house that I showed you. Let's see. Man, this is almost like doing a perk walk, you know what I mean? It's like, he's identifying the house out of the lineup.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting because
And I didn't tell him.
You, right.
I knew that was the Hatch House that was labeled. I did not tell him that.
Right,
I wanted to see which one he picked out.
Yeah.
So that's another clue.
Yeah.
That was Hatch House.
He got a good memory, man.
Oh,
Remember
his
that?
memory's ridiculous. His memories, I mean, there's no way I'm gonna remember this stuff when if I even get to 90.
I remember it just like it was yesterday.
Man, that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. So I will do more research on that then.
Yeah.
I will track that down. That helps me out a lot though to have a pretty good identification of what it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Now, so these are some other properties that are, in the area, and I just wanted to. This looked like what you had described to me.
Yeah, that looks like the little house. Not possibly not it, but it sure looks.
But very much the same kind of style and era.
Right.
In just like plain kind of oak wood panels and.
Mm-hmm. Except that looked like it could be, but that's a porch on that house.
A little bigger, but and your grandfather's house was more simple.
More simple. It
didn't have a porch at all.
No.
Did either one of his houses have a porch?
No.
Okay, right. I came across this picture, which I thought was interesting, because I remember I asked you. I said, "Hey, how did you guys take a bath?
Mm-hmm.
Especially your grandfather, and when you lived with your grandfather, how did you take a bath?" And one thing I came across is a picture of this plantation with these big metal, they call them sugar kettles or something like that. But do you recall what did you take a bath in? Was it
Tin,
this kind of thing, or was it just a big bucket or
tin tub.
tin tub?
Yeah.
So like one of those oval big tin tubs you see?
Right. Big round tin tub.
Was it shaped like a bathtub kind of thing, like
No.
elongated, or was it perfectly circular?
Purple circular.
Oh, it was just outside,
No.
or was it inside?
No,
You had that inside?
Inside.
Okay. Alrighty. So let me see. That is that, and then I'm going to show you one more thing over here. So I picked this book up. This book is really amazing, quite frankly. This gentleman went out to the Black Belt of Alabama and basically did some journalism and stayed with 3 families. Now, the families that he stayed with, I wish he had diversified his approach a little bit, but then again, this was back, like in the 50s or something. This is a while back. But he ended up staying with 3 white families. I wish he had stayed with, at least spent some time with some of the African American community. That obviously, no African American owned a plantation then, but obviously, with the people like your grandfather, would have been interesting for someone to kind of get with him at that point in time. But they did this approach. Matter of fact, I think it was even earlier in the 50s. And I think about it, I think it was like in the 30s. But
30s is my time frame.
Yeah, that's the thing. And so the neat thing about this is that he went out and he took a lot of pictures of how these people lived out there in these sharecropping properties inside their homes and everything. And of course these weren't rich white families either. These were families that were struggling, that were kind of like an inch away from starvation, kind of.
Yeah.
This lifestyle, I can't even wrap my mind around it, really. I mean, you can see these folks are not living with a silver spoon in their mouth by any stretch of the imagination. But some of the inside of their house I thought was interesting. I wanted to have you take a look at it and see if you recognize some similarities to what you experienced, like this wood burning stove. Does that look like something similar to what you had, like say what your grandfather had in the kitchen when he had a two-room place, or what other folks had that you saw? As far as where they cook their food in and stuff.
Yeah. This is a little bit more modern than what we had.
Was it? Okay. All right.
So you can't picture that. More primitive than that.
Man, woo. Let's see here. So interesting. I'll have to check that out. Keep on looking. Let's see. I marked some other pages I thought were very interesting. So this study was done in Hale County, so which could include New Bern.
Yeah.
Right. And so he had some pictures of downtown. And if you're in Hale County and you're looking at downtown, I can only imagine it's a good chance you're looking at New Bern. And I was wondering, you told me about the story about your dad taking you into town and buying you the cheese and crackers, right?
Yeah.
Was that New Bern that he took you to?
New Bern.
I was wondering if any of these pictures or these buildings look familiar. And I assume that downtown New Bern at least was paved?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
The street went straight through, just like this is the road.
Yeah.
That was just like that. It was going straight through, and the stores on both sides.
On both sides. And do you remember when you were down there with your dad? Remember seeing cars like that?
No.
Or was it less busy?
No, no cars. If a car came, it went through. It went right on.
It went right on. They didn't really stop on there, huh?
Right.
No. Let's see here. Let's see some other buildings.
Yep.
That's probably a liquor store or something.
Yeah. I don't know what. what that represents up there. But this is the way the storefronts look.
That's very much how they look, huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. That's
That's the church. I didn't
Yeah.
know the church there. And go back to that car. Yeah, my brother had one. My brother, who was the school teacher, had one of these.
oh, it did, huh?
Yeah.
That was the second oldest brother out of all the brothers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had an old, I think they call it, what they call it, a T model, or was it
So it was like a Ford, you think, huh?
oh yeah.
Yep. Did you buy that at Marion, you think?
I don't know where he was gotten it at.
Mm.
But anyway, the old T model.
Yeah. How did it run?
Chuk, 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 chuk.
you, but you were
But you had to go outside with a crank and
you crank it up.
yeah.
Man, and I wonder where the nearest gas station was.
I don't know.
In Newbern or Marion, probably, huh?
I wonder where did he get gas for?
Yeah. But yeah, so that, but at least that gives me an idea of what some of the storefronts look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's something. That is something. So I will do some more research on the Hatch House, and then I wrote some questions out. Let's see how we're doing on time. We're doing okay. So to shift gears just a little bit, now get this chair out of your way.
For one, I am truly impressed. Truly impressed.
I'm very happy that we could identify some things that seem familiar. I scoured that area of Alabama and the houses.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time out and doing this kind of doing the research.
It's my pleasure. It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
Taking you back, ain't it?
Alrighty, let's shift gears for just a second, or maybe a little longer. We're talking judo, right? So when then we're talking about, so we covered your children, right? And we talked about that last time we met in their judo careers. But I wanted to get into your experience in judo. I was going to ask you first thing, so how were you introduced to judo?
Well, I suppose when I read an article in the base newspaper about judo,
Mm-hmm.
judo program that was just ending. I think it was maybe 9 weeks program that was ending, and so I contacted the number that the person that they had listed in the paper
Mm-hmm.
for the next session, and so I enrolled in the next session, which was that session was in August. I enrolled in September. That session was just ending in August, and they started another one in September. And so I enrolled in that, and it was 9 people.
9 people that showed up?
9 of us, yeah.
And what was it that kind of motivated you to even sign up for that and to be interested in that?
Because I had read the comic books when I was a kid, and they were showing different karate tactics in them, and I got interested as a kid, but there was no place around to practice. It was just a comic book.
Do you remember some of the comic book heroes that did the karate, or the comic book names?
No, I can't offhand. I can't offhand remember.
But so you showed up and for your first practice, right?
Right.
It was a session.
Right.
And what was your initial impression after you'd finished that first practice?
I was very impressed after the first practice, but it wasn't until about the third or fourth that I was really sore.
Sore.
Yeah, because they beat up on me. Yeah. But the first one, they was very, very gentle with me. And matter of fact, the first instructor, the instructor at the time was Sergeant John Powell, and he talked more than he had us doing anything. So we sat and listened. So the first few classes was pretty simple and easy.
Was he Air Force sergeant?
Yeah, he was Army sergeant.
Was Army sergeant?
Right. And then after that, he didn't instruct very much after the first 2 or 3 sessions. He had somebody else in the class who had experience took over and did the instruction.
And do you remember where on base this was exactly? There's a gym on Kitty, what they call Kitty Hawk, and then there's a gym in the main
Jarvis
part.
Gym.
Jarvis Gym.
Jarvis Gym is in Kitty Hawk.
Jarvis Gym's Kitty Hawk, and then the officers' gym or
Dodge.
Lodge, right?
Dodge.
Dodge. That's right. Dodge. Yep.
Mm.
Was it in a gym?
It was in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, but shortly after, it was in the gym, and it was over in the Area C area.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember.
Yeah. So Area C is Kitty Hawk, right? So
No.
it was Area A. So C is the main, so that'd be Dodge.
I know
Area C is a flight line.
Yeah.
he's on 444. Is it the one where we used to do the tournaments and stuff in there?
Yeah, but wasn't that building? They had moved by the time you guys got involved. We had moved out of the area, the little house. We had our own location then.
Because I remember it had that section up at the top where you could they sold concessions and stuff. You went up those steps.
Yeah.
And you could overlook the mat.
That's when we had our own location.
Yeah.
But when we first started, it was in one of the major gyms.
Probably maybe Dodge. I'm thinking. That sounds like to me.
Probably was.
Yeah, that's Area C.
We had to set up mats and take them down.
Yeah. Was that the bottom floor of the gym? I don't know if there's 2 floors in that.
Yeah, there are.
Are there? Okay. And then so, you remember the name of the second guy that started teaching you?
I'm not sure whether. Dave Thorne, Captain Dave Thorne, was our primary instructor shortly after that.
Shortly after
I'm
that?
not sure whether he was the next one after
Yeah,
that.
right.
But,
And so Captain Dave Thorne, was he your instructor for a while?
for a long time.
Yeah. Was he good? Was he good at what he did?
He's very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And I remember. He instructed all the classes. Dave Thorne instructed all the classes. He was brown belt.
Brown belt.
Yeah, but he was good.
And you said you got sore after a while, so they were beating up on you.
Yeah, because they started picking on me after a while. and I got I got sore after that.
And so at this point, how old were you when you're doing this?
38.
38. And they started picking on you. You're a grown man, 38, and they started picking on you.
You can change that, not just the grown man, old man.
Old man.
and yeah, and of course, I went through that first session. The session was 9 weeks.
Yeah.
And I went through the first session, and I was determined I was going to stick with it, so I signed up for the next session. And I can recall how sore. Actually, my legs hurt a lot, but it was my toes that really hurt most. And I digress. But anyway, I asked the instructor, what could I do to keep from my toe? He says, you'll figure it out.
Oh.
And so that was all he told me, you'll figure it out. And then sure enough, so sometime later I did. But what I was doing, I was dragging my feet on top of dragging my toes on the mat. And then I learned how to keep my toes up off the mat.
I see. Interesting.
But anyway, I digress. So but Captain Dave Thorne, he was a very good instructor.
How long do you think it took you to get to where you were feeling somewhat competent at judo?
About a year.
About a year.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you practice judo on the base?
Gosh, what? 5 years, 6
5 years.
5 or 6 years. Mm-hmm.
Did you compete while you were practicing on the
I
base?
only competed a couple of times. I was too old and too new, so I got beat up when I did compete. So I only competed in probably three or four tournaments, and so my thought was that I'm too old to do this. Cause all these guys are 20, 21, 19, 20 years old that I'm competing against. And I'm 38 and just starting. So I decided then it's too late for me to become a champion. So I'm going to make champions. And that's what I put the whole lot into learning and instructing. And that's what happened. I made a lot of champions.
Oh, that's interesting.
So speaking of champions, now, of course, Mark and Ernest were the most dedicated. And Ernest was champion, Ohio champion for several years. But Mark was the longest running champion. He was champion he was junior champion for 13 years, and he held junior and senior champion. He started competing at 14. He started competing as a senior, and he won the senior championship at 14. So he held junior and senior championship for the next 6 years.
And that's in Ohio. He was a champion. He was the Ohio champion.
Say again?
That was for Ohio, state of Ohio.
Ohio state champion. Right.
Wow.
So I don't want to take a bit too
No,
much of
but
time on that.
that's great. What did you find as far as your personal toughest challenge with judo? You know, as far as you were concerned, what was the toughest thing? Was it your age you think you were battling against, or just as far as you kind of learning the sport, and or was there just so much to learn? What would you say was your kind of tallest mountain to climb, and in regards to
it was
sport?
age more so than because I learned. I studied hard and I learned quickly, but I was competing against much younger,
Yeah.
almost teenagers.
Yeah.
And so when I started, I'm 38 when I started, and then by the time I learned, 2 years of learning, I'm too old. I'm too old to compete at that point.
Mm. What is the when you look at the sport? What is the favorite aspect? Your favorite aspect of the sport? When you look at judo, you compare it to other sports like soccer or baseball or football. What is it about judo that you think that you like the most?
Discipline. Yeah, I like the discipline of it. And but like any other sports though, if you want to do good, if you want to do good with the sport, you got to be disciplined. You got to put the time and effort into
Mm-hmm.
it. So in that regard, it was just like the rest of the sports.
Mm-hmm.
But one aspect of judo and martial arts, you might train as a team, but you compete as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
when you get out there on the mat, it's all up to you.
Mm-hmm.
And not like tennis,
Basketball or football.
Not like
Yeah.
football or basketball or something like that, where you can pass it to somebody else and
Mhm.
you get a lot of help,
Right.
or somebody blocking for you or something like that.
Mhm.
You on your own out there.
Right.
And
Right.
I like that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Your accomplishment is going to depend on what you do.
Mm-hmm. If you were to point out some of your favorite judo moves, what would they be?
Well, I would say that shoulder throw. You want me to name the technique?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Shoulder throw was my what I like the most, and especially the one we call drop shoulder throw.
Mm.
The word for shoulder is seal. Drop Seonage was my favorite one. And my team excelled with that technique. I remember.
What was go ahead.
No,
Yeah. Well, what was Ernest's favorite judo move?
Shoulder throw. What'd you say?
I say that over Taitoshi.
Taitoshi.
Yeah.
And then what about Mr. Galen over here? What was his favorite throw or favorite move?
Probably Uchimata.
Uchimata.
Mm-hmm.
And then what about Mark?
Mark probably the same. Uchimata, Taitoshi. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, one thing, one difference between Mark's technique and Galen and Ernest was Mark was satisfied just to win.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, he would get a small point,
Mm-hmm.
and then he would protect that all the way through to the match. Whereas Galen and Ernest, they weren't satisfied just to protect a small. They want to go for the gusto.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and most time they did when I would, as a coach, I would try to get them to let up now and just protect the lead you got.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but they want to add more to it.
And there's a little risk with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what was the strategy that you taught to your students to win judo matches? Was there a general kind of philosophy that you had, or did you try to
Yes.
customize it to
Yes.
different people? Or
Yes. My philosophy was, and I stressed it, get ahead, get ahead first.
Mhm.
You and make your opponent have to fight from behind.
right,
'Cause then they get frustrated and they're trying to catch up
right,
and they make mistakes.
and you kind of set the mood, don't you? Set the tone almost.
Right.
Yeah,
Always try to score first. Try to build and once you get a lead, protect that lead.
right. That makes sense. What are your thoughts regarding the founder of judo, Jigoro Kano?
Jigoro Kano?
Yeah. What do you think of him as a historical figure and as a contributor? Really, the inventor, right, of judo.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think he had a very good philosophy. Maximum efficiency, minimum effort. And I studied under Dr. Jigoro Kano was one of his students, and so I guess his technique and his philosophy was passed on down.
What was that gentleman's name? Do you remember?
I thought of it just a few minutes ago, and now I can't remember it again. I'll think of it for we.
Was that Ohio?
No,
Was
he was from Japan.
But when you came across him, did you train under him in Ohio?
In Ohio, cause
So he was traveling.
He came here. He traveled.
Yeah, right.
What's his name? But anyway, he traveled here, and on more than one occasion.
Did he come from that famous judo school in Tokyo?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Boy, I bet you that'd be an incredible place to go.
The Kodokan.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Kodokan.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Gee, I'll think of his name.
If you could name a few, who are some of your favorite judo players of all time?
Help me out, Galen. I'm bad on names.
Favorite ones. Yeah, because the next thing I want to ask you, who do you think is the greatest one or two? But who are your favorite?
I think that the ones that when we were competing,
Mm-hmm.
and this is after we became young adults competing.
Right. Yeah.
Cumberland had a good team down there. Leo White, Eddie Liddy, had some girls down there.
And Liddy went on to compete with the Olympic. He was on the Olympics team.
Oh wow.
He won a bronze medal in the '84 Olympics.
Ooh. Good. That was Los Angeles, right?
Mm-hmm. Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That was the one Russia boycotted because we had boycotted the '80 Olympics in Russia, so they boycotted ours.
Yeah.
But now, Liddy, he went on to make a big name for himself also as an instructor. But he trained with us.
Oh, neat.
He trained in our club on several occasions.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was consistent. I mean, but if he was in this area,
You come on by, huh?
Mm-hmm. And he even stayed. Cause he competed twice. So did he stay with us overnight?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, actually he did. He stayed overnight and trained with us on 2 days.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a very tough human being.
There was some others. Trying to think that I can't think of the guy's name. But also though, Warren, there was some well-respected judo players around here too. Frank Herzog. you know, couldn't go without mentioning Frank, Fritz
Oh, yeah.
Goss, Tony and Chauncey White out of Cincinnati. There's some tough people around here.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know.
He mentioned Herzog was one of the top competitors. He lives in Hamilton.
Yeah.
And he runs the Hamilton Judo Club.
They still going, huh?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, if there's any way to incorporate their names, I think that they need to be mentioned.
Well, Frank.
Frank.
The first national champion tournament I went to, Frank won 5th place.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And
my dad already mentioned John Powell, you know, Russ Shear, and a bunch of people, man. Fritz Goss, he went on to become Ohio State's judo team's coach.
yeah, I was
Oh,
thinking
nice.
Fritz the other day.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, he was
You
Fritz
said you
Fritz
talked to
Goss.
him?
Fritz Goss was one of the top on the Ohio State judo team. At the university, he was at
right.
the university. When I say Ohio State, I mean actually Ohio State.
That'd be interesting to see actually. These universities compete in judo. That'd be interesting.
San Jose used to have a good team. I don't know. I guess they still got. I guess these schools still have judo tournaments. I don't know, but judo teams. But I remember Boxcar Brown. I think it's Boxcar Bertha. We from Cumberland College. Yeah, she was tough.
Nice.
So.
And then you guys know the female Olympic champion.
Kayla Harrison.
Yeah.
She trained in our club on occasion.
No, Kayla was with us for a while, probably a year, at least a year or so, a year
That's
more.
nice.
When
Oh, that's amazing
from about 14, about maybe 15 or 16.
Boy, she won the gold in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Yeah, on 2 occasions.
Yeah, she won in London and then in Rio.
Wow. It's incredible. That's
Now she's doing the MMA stuff.
so difficult.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
She fought a few nights ago.
Just the other day on the
Oh, really?
20th.
MMA, huh?
Man,
Going for the big money.
Bloodied this girl's face up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Well, that big movie star girl. What's her?
Rousey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a judo Olympian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Tough people.
But that matter of fact, you knew her mom? Or was it Kayla's mom?
Kayla's mom.
Kayla's mom.
And we still communicate with Kayla's mom.
As a matter of fact, Warren, when the tornado hit the judo school out there,
Yeah.
Stephanie,
Yeah.
who still talks to, she keeps in touch with Kayla.
Oh, nice.
Told her about the judo school being hit.
Yeah.
And Kayla told Stephanie that if it was anything, because she knew we were looking for a new place.
Right.
So she told Stephanie that if there was anything that we needed to get reopened, you
Yeah.
know, to have Dawn, my sister, get in touch with her mom
Right.
and let her know whatever it was that we needed,
Oh, that's
mats or geese.
That's nice. That's nice.
She would look out for us.
I think that's I think it's an incredible thing you guys do with DayMac.
Yeah.
It's a really incredible thing.
So.
But we had a
Yeah.
wonderful team. When we go to a tournament, we would usually take around 15 people,
Mm-hmm.
and they would all bring home a trophy.
Nice. That's awesome.
Right?
That is awesome.
So when you're talking about a tournament that's got hundreds, 3 or 4, and back in the day they'd have as many as 500 people.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Easily.
Yeah.
Ham cans.
Yeah, and And if everybody on your team wins
Nationals.
a trophy,
That's something.
out of a big tournament where there's 400 or 500 people,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty good.
Oh, that's excellent.
And it wasn't Warren. It wasn't shabby competition. I mean,
Oh, yeah. I
these
bet.
people were coming up from like Puerto Rico,
Mhm.
you know, and Puerto Rico and those places. They didn't just bring somebody that was in their school.
Yeah.
They had playoffs, and then like
I
to
see.
the
Right.
nation.
Right. Right.
And then they brought the ones who won those tournaments
Right.
up here to our tournaments. You know,
Mhm.
the Nationals or AmCan, Americans versus Canadians.
Right.
AmCan. As a matter of fact, Toby, that's the one that
Hans Russell
Hans.
fought in, huh?
yeah.
Right.
So yeah, and yeah, I couldn't think of Hans' name, but yeah, that's the one Hans fought in, and
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, those were some big tournaments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back then,
Yeah. Something.
those 2-day tournaments.
Yeah,
Man, you
right.
know.
That's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When did you? Well, I guess so. So when and why did you set up your own judo club? So I guess the why might have something to do with your knack and love for teaching,
Yes.
possibly.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's just my way, my personality too. When I get involved in something, I usually become a leader, a leader in the involvement.
Well,
But yeah, that well, shortly after I got involved, I started training my kids and their friends in my basement. So we set up mats there, and we expanded from there, and went to the YMCA.
which YMCA is that?
It was called the Fifth Street. It was
Still standing.
Just here in Dayton.
Mm-hmm. Fifth Street one.
Fifth Street YMCA,
Yeah.
and
Was that an everyday class or a couple times a week or?
a couple of times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so we attracted a pretty good group of kids there.
Yeah.
And by the way, I was going to tell you something about the kids.
Yes.
Okay. I'll tell you now. You can
Yeah,
sort of.
that's fine. Yeah.
But anyway, I had 2 kids that was pretty good, teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
One name was Kenyatta, and he was 15. And another one was Raymond Williams. We called him Preacher. And so it was a tournament in Richmond. I took 2 guys over there, Kenyatta and Preacher. And after the individual competition, they had a team competition, and they lined up 15 people from the lightest to the heaviest. And Kenyatta, 15 years old, was 3rd from the lightest end.
Mm.
So the first guy fought the second. Second guy won. Second from the end won.
Mm-hmm.
Then he had to fight the 3rd, which was Kenyatta. Kenyatta won that match and beat the next 7 people.
The next 7 people.
The next 7 people in the line. And then when he came, and the 8th one was Preacher, my student, one of my students, his Kenyatta's teammate. Well, Preacher was 17, and he beat Kenyatta. Then Preacher took it over from there and won everybody, beat everybody from that spot all the way through number 15.
Wow.
So I had 2 guys, and they beat everybody in there except
when they fought each other.
except for when
That's
and one of them,
incredible.
and of course one of them won.
Yeah.
But the only one out of 15 that we didn't as a team that we
Mhm.
didn't fight was the number 1 guy who got beat the first in the first round. The second, third, fourth, all the way through number 15. We had
Wow.
a part in it. So
Incredible.
so we're pretty proud. We're pretty proud of ourselves on that one.
Oh, yeah.
We only two people from my club, and they beat everybody.
Did they? Was there a fee to join your YMCA club, or
Mm.
how did that work?
Uh,
And how did you get those 2 youngsters in your club in the first place? Did they just hear about you through the newspaper or something, or?
well, actually, the Y already had a club run by a guy named Vernon Jones,
Mm.
and so when I came in, I think maybe Vernon only stayed maybe a couple of sessions, and he dropped out.
Huh.
He dropped he quit his own club,
That's interesting.
and so I took it over from there.
And so were those 2 youngsters that you just talked about? Were they part of his club originally,
They were part of his club.
and you took them under your wing?
Well, one of them
Yeah.
was part of his club.
And then
Kenyatta was part of his club
yeah,
originally.
and the preacher came later.
And Preacher came later. Now Preacher was a big boy, and very strong.
Mm.
And the group, what we had there was just average sized kids.
Yeah.
The Preacher was big and strong,
Mm-hmm.
and so when Preacher would practice against one of them, he would always throw them
Mhm.
around and so forth.
Yeah.
So no one wanted to practice with Preacher. So I had several complaints about that big boy, and so they wanted me. The people complaining complained all the way to the
director.
With the director of the Y.
the director,
Yeah.
to the director, well, the director of the program director, and so, and they talked to me and said they understand we had a bully in there, and that was bad for the program,
Mm.
and they wanted me to get rid of him.
Mm.
Well, I wouldn't get rid of him. I told him let's work with him, and see what happens.
Yeah.
And of course, Preacher stayed, became a very good friend of mine.
Mm.
And he wasn't a bully; he was just strong.
Yeah.
So Preacher later joined the military. When he was old enough, joined the military. He kept in touch with me from various locations where he was stationed,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. When he got out of the service, he had difficulty finding a job. So around here, and so he went to Chicago, and he had an incident in Chicago. Somebody on the train pulled a robbery, and so he snatched. Somebody robbed this lady's grabbed her purse.
Mm-hmm.
Preacher jumped up and grabbed him and put him in a hammer lock behind, and he was asking somebody to call. Well, he rode to the station, and Preacher marched him off the train, still holding on.
Wow.
And he was trying to get somebody to call the police, but nobody wanted to get involved. So Preacher had to march the guy to a pay phone, still holding on to him, and reach in his pocket and get a coin and call the police. And so the police came and arrested the guy. And Preacher was, he got the they had some little ceremony for preacher and gave him the key to the city.
Oh, jeez.
And he was looking. He went there because he didn't have a job. They gave him a job. He had 2 years. He had 2 years of college.
Mm-hmm.
And so he finished his. They paid for his other 2 years of college. And gave him a job.
Oh, that's nice.
Preacher went on and he did well. And he moved to Las Vegas, and he called me all the time, every year from Las Vegas, invited me out. I never got a chance to go out to visit him, but he did well. He last time I heard from Preacher, he showed me pictures of a new home that he built just outside of Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
So that's a success story that I'm pretty proud of.
That is a success story. Do you still have his phone number and everything?
No, been 8 or 9 years since I heard from him. So I don't know anything after that.
Well, what did he do for a living, you think?
He worked for the city, but I don't know in what capacity.
And what was his name again?
Raymond Williams.
Raymond Williams, huh?
Called him Preacher. That's one of my success stories.
Oh, that's neat. How old was he when you first met him, do you think?
He was probably about 9, probably about 9, maybe 11.
Wow. That's neat. And how much did it cost to be a member of the YMCA Judo Club?
At that time?
Yeah, at that time. How much would someone like Preacher have to, or his parents have to pay to be part of that club? Do you recall?
Well, they had to buy a membership to the Y.
The Y.
Itself, yes.
And so if they had a membership of the Y, then they could just go to the.
Yes.
And it didn't cost them any extra to do the
I
judo.
don't think it costs anything extra.
Okay. And so really.
And I didn't get paid.
I was just going to say, so you were just doing this out of the goodness of your heart. I mean, because you enjoyed it.
It was volunteer work for me.
And so it was twice a week. What was it, like Monday, Wednesday, or something like that?
Something like that. 2 days a week.
And then on the weekends that you sometimes went to tournaments.
Yes, I would. Not many people from the Y went to tournaments though.
Well, and then so you started at the Y. What year did you start at the Y? Did you take that program over? If you recall.
Let's see, 56, 58.
Yeah. And then what year did you move beyond the Y to your own facility and your own club per se?
I'm going to say that was about 1960.
1960.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you call your club while you were at the Y? Did you have a name for it? Or was it just the Y Judo?
It was the Y Judo.
Yeah. But then when you created your own, when you had your own facility in 1960, what did you call it initially?
We had. I taught in several places at the same time. The main place was called the Dorian Center Judo Club.
So that was a facility, right?
Right. So that's the name, the main name that we went under. But I was also teaching classes at the YWCA, and this is all in the same week.
Yeah.
At the YWCA, the Dorian Center, and the Hickory Street YMCA.
Wow.
Now get the distinction. I said the YWCA.
Yeah.
And then Hickory Street was YMCA.
All these locations in in downtown Dayton, or?
Yes, these are down the Y. WCA was downtown Dayton. The YMCA was Hickory Street on East Dayton.
And the Dorian.
And Dorian Center was West Dayton.
And so you taught at all three of those places.
I was teaching a class every night.
You're teaching class every night,
Every
Monday
night,
through Friday,
except Sunday.
except Sunday. So even Saturday.
Yeah, even Saturday.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And these were different groups of kids
Different
in each
group
one
of
of them.
kids on each one.
Man,
That was Dorn Center. D-O-R-A.
Dorn Center.
Yeah, Dorn.
And I had fold up mats, and I was transporting my mats to these different locations.
Oh, geez.
So that
Did you say you had a little pickup truck or something, or
I had a
van?
station wagon.
station wagon?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah,
And so how long did you do that? Where you were
I-
hopping between these different places?
I did that for a couple of years.
And were your kids roped in on on the deal?
No, they wasn't going to place. They went one place.
Oh, just one place?
Mhm.
Wait. What's these places you named again?
Hickory.
Yeah, WCA and the MCA, Wise.
Wait. We went to the Y's.
But that was Fifth Street Y though.
Right, the Fifth Street Y.
I'm talking that Y on the east side now, Hickory Street.
No, I ain't know about that one.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you was doing one over there.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the Y over there. And what's the other one?
So the WCA and MCA and then Dorn Center.
Dorn Center.
Yeah, we went to the
And-
Dorn Center.
And Warren during that same period, I was teaching self-defense classes at the Dayton Correction Center,
Oh, wow.
the workhouse.
Man.
I was teaching guards.
Interesting.
Self-defense.
And so that was probably had some strong judo roots in it, I would imagine.
Yes, but yeah, but it was also other techniques that was more suitable, accommodating for their work, that type of work.
So how to deal with someone that has a shank in their hands, stuff like that.
Well,
How to constrain people or restrain them.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, and I was on a contract,
yeah,
2 years
yeah.
with the Dayton Corrections.
So you were getting paid. That was a
I was
paid
getting
job.
paid. That was a paid job.
Mm.
Mhm.
Did you mention the Boys Club?
Hmm?
The Boys Club?
I wasn't getting paid at the boys' club.
No, but I'm saying.
But that's an additional facility that you were teaching at.
Yeah, that was Dayton Corrections.
You know, so yeah, the
No,
two Y's.
but you
the
taught
Dorn
at the
Center.
Boys Club too.
Hmm?
The Dayton Boys and Girls
Oh
Club.
yeah, the boys' club too.
Yeah.
But
Man,
I was teaching somewhere every day and every night. in the
Monday
week.
through Saturday. Sounds
Monday
like.
through Saturday.
So as a matter of fact, Warren,
Man.
before you get too far off of the Kenyatta and the preacher, because it pretty much came full circle now because Kenyatta's still here in the area.
I was wondering about Kenyatta.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he used to have a martial arts school up in Fairborn. When he kind of drifted away from judo,
Mm-hmm.
he went off to I think Korea, and he got into kung fu
Mm.
and karate and stuff.
Mhm.
So he's real far up there. I mean, like a 10th degree in
Wow.
karate or kung fu or something. And he has had his martial arts school ever since he's been back here in Dayton. And right now he's out in Trotwood. Well, when the tornado knocked us out, you know,
Mhm.
Kenyatta has a little small martial arts school like the one that we were on Riverview.
Yeah.
It's not much bigger than.
Not much bigger than this room.
Yeah, you take all of this wall and go to the TV. That's about
I
the
see.
size of his school.
Yeah.
And so when the tornado put us out, like, you know, we got 20, 30 kids.
Yeah.
That was too small.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to Fit Body Boot Camp out there in Inglewood.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
when Fit Body closed
Mhm.
because of the coronavirus,
Yeah.
I went and spoke with Kenyatta then because, of course, I'm not trying to be around a bunch of people
Yeah,
anyway.
sure.
So his little small karate school now,
Yeah.
would get about 6 people in there comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are right now, just working with some people, getting them promoted up to their black belts.
Oh, really? So there's some judo happening there.
So our all the Daymax mats
Yeah.
are over there at Kenyatta's place right now.
Oh, wow.
I mean, and he didn't think twice about welcoming us
Oh, that's cool.
in there. He said, for what all that my dad has done for him, he could never repay us back.
Oh, that's nice.
And
Now this guy
That
he's
is
talking
nice.
about is the same 15-year-old
right,
that we took over to Richmond
That's
and
awesome.
won there.
yeah, that's
Oh, that
the
is
same
great.
Kenyatta.
That
And
is
preacher, I don't know what preacher's up to, but I can tell you, Kenyatta, and
Yeah,
yeah.
that is neat.
So we've been up there for probably a month, maybe about a month now. But I'm just planning on being there long enough to get them promoted and maybe work out with 1 or 2 people just to stay in some kind of shape and
Right,
stretch and stuff.
Right.
Until this is over with, and then we talk about getting another place again.
Right, another place.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, the thing, I mean, I think you guys are doing a real community service here with that judo club of yours. I mean, I really do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember one of my first impressions was hearing Mark, give his words of wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
That he likes to do for the young people and stuff. I think that's hugely valuable.
Yeah.
Hugely valuable. And maybe some of these kids don't hear that,
Right.
Yeah.
otherwise, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's really something.
We well back at that time we were I described how we were traveling from location to location, and then suddenly dawned on us, so why don't we just get one location and have people come to us?
Right.
And
Right.
that's when we opened up the Dayton Martial Arts.
And was that something that you created then, the Dayton Martial Arts? That was your?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't exist before you created it.
Right.
No.
What year was that?
1971.
71. 71?
71. And where was the first location for that?
At the corner of Riverview and Philadelphia.
Still on the lot.
Still on the lot, but there's no building there anymore.
Yeah.
I see. You still own the lot, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And how long did you have that? How long was that running in that?
We
that
stayed
facility?
there. We stayed there about 10, 12 years.
Yeah, we moved up. Okay, so Warren, it's at the corner of Philadelphia and Riverview.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, there was a bridge that was, so you come down Philadelphia and going around the curve to Riverview,
Mm-hmm.
here, coming from the Good Samaritan Hospital,
Mm-hmm.
going around the curve. The bridge to go over to Western or James H. McGee now,
Mm-hmm.
it was down, 300 yards maybe, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't where the bridge is right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they told us back in the late 70s, maybe early, I think that it was in the late 70s, maybe early 80s, that they were going to tear our building down, tear that bridge down here, and run this bridge straight across from Philadelphia over to James H. McGee. So we moved from that building up to Fairview.
That was 1978 when we moved.
Next to Ronaldo's Bakery.
I see.
And then they never did tear the bridge down, which meant our building just stood there. We put a little store in there, and
Dang.
So
That's when I purchased that the building up on Fairview where you came, where we started this.
Right.
So I purchased that building because we were told that we were going to have to move from down from the location we were. But as he said, they didn't do anything with it. So we tried running 2 places for a while, and that wasn't feasible to try to operate 2 places. So the little building we had down there, we turned it into, first of all, a night joint.
Like a nightclub or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
How did that go?
Well, I didn't run it personally. I rented it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They built a nice big bar. They had
Mhm.
a long bar in there, and all kind of liquor and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
illegal.
Illegal?
Yeah. And so they got busted several times, and then over the course of 2 years or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that, they police was on them so heavy they had to close it up.
Mm.
And once they closed that up, we just started having parties in there for kids,
Right.
and we called it heaven and hell. And
Well, that was when we still had judo down there then.
yeah, but we had both places open back at the same time. 1971 was our first year to operate the judo club out of there, and we had over that year people who came and dropped.
Mm-hmm.
We had about 81 students to go through there. And matter of fact, I can talk to Galen for a minute because I got to show you one of my
Yeah, sure.
favorites.
So-
Continue talking.
So that I was gonna say I could show you, and then whenever you get a minute,
Yeah.
I can show you where the places where Riverview and Philadelphia you can find that easily.
Yeah.
And then Fairview, but I can take you in the building and show you
Interesting.
the layout.
Interesting.
It wasn't until that bridge, at the time, James H. McGee used to be called Western Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And so the bridge came across and joined over to Western Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
But then when that bridge got so bad, they decided to just tear it down. It wasn't.
Oh, did they?
It wasn't repairable.
I see. Oh, look at that.
1971. This was the when we the first
Bad
when we
judo, huh?
when we first opened the place that we're talking about. The first year we opened it, then one of the parents made me president of that, and that was Mary Hoff was the name, Hoff, and she had 2 kids in there, David and Brad.
That's way back.
That's way back, isn't it, huh?
I forgot
Yeah.
about those names, man.
And I want you to pay attention to his foot.
Yeah. What's up with his foot?
The first night.
Oh, there's only.
Yeah, you see his foot?
Yeah, well, I see. I'm not counting the right number of toes, but.
No, but don't you see something wrong with one of his feet?
Let's see here. Let's see.
No, I don't mean I mean like maybe an accident.
There's a little chip in one of the toes.
Well, the first night we had a Christmas party, and that's when Mary Hall presented that.
Yeah.
Dawn was 6 years old.
There's some cracks there.
And she
Oh, I see a crack.
she was playing with him
Ah,
and broke his foot.
I see that now.
Yeah, she broke his foot, and we'd only had him for an hour by the time.
Oh, had him for an hour and he was already broken, huh?
And
Sounds like my kids.
So he didn't know what broke his foot, but that quick.
I'm gonna take a picture of him. I think he's kind of cool.
He was he's a little mascot. But that was our first year as Dayton Martial Arts. Did you know him? Did you know him?
What do you mean?
Mm.
David Hall?
No. Did you know the little guy?
Oh, but I've been seeing that little guy since I was a kid. I didn't know Don broke it.
Don broke his foot.
Since I was a kid.
Yeah, that little guy been around here long as I have.
So you all the kids together.
That's great.
Yeah, we
That's
grew up
awesome.
together.
So that was a long time ago, huh?
Yeah.
What year did you?
1971.
Wow.
April 9th, 1971 is when we opened the school. And that was a Christmas party we had on that same year.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's valuable. Make sure it doesn't get broke again. Jeez. That's
Yeah.
neat.
So,
How many, if you were to think about it, how many kids do you think you have trained in judo?
oh gosh.
We had this conversation quite often.
Mm-hmm. What is your best guess, Anna?
My best guess, and not just the people who have come to the judo
Mhm.
school, but like Mark teaches out at Wright State. You know,
Mhm.
I've had classes out of
Mm-hmm.
outside of our judo school,
Mm-hmm.
the churches and all kinds of other places.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to tally up all of the people that I think won, I think it's got to be close to at least 20,000.
20,000.
Yeah, I was guess about 20.
Dang,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah,
it was a long time. You know,
Dang.
you know, we used to teach at Sinclair. I used to teach over at Dunbar, the high school for years. Don used to teach at Dunbar.
Incredible.
Yeah, he's probably pretty close on
Yeah.
pretty close on them. So we touched the lives of a lot of people.
Did you, I was wondering, have there been instances where you have brought children in that were from some troubled households or some difficult
Oh.
environments?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
I was wondering about that.
I've had many occasions, many students that do fit that category, and I've had to counsel. I've had the parents ask me to counsel numerous kids
Mm-hmm.
that was whatever unruly, I guess would be
Mhm.
one way to say. But anyway, parents who really couldn't do anything with the kids themselves. I've counseled so many of them
Mm-hmm.
over the years,
Mm-hmm.
and
I mean, I think that is a wonderful community service.
I was gonna say, Warren. As a matter of fact, when it comes to judo, if it was just talking judo, he had all of the kids. I mean, it wasn't just us four.
Mm-hmm.
He looked at all of the kids as being his kids.
Mhm.
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Yeah, I don't doubt that at
He
all.
did, I can honestly say, I don't think that he just
Kids.
separated treating them any different than treating us.
the
Mhm.
kids next door, brother and sister next door,
Yeah.
Pam and Jeff,
Gary and Craig
and
across
kids
the
across
street.
the street. Matter of fact, Warren, I would go all the way out to Jefferson Township, pick kids up, and bring them to the class.
Mm-hmm.
After class, I could drop those kids off back out to Jefferson
Mhm.
Township. But I got also kids from East Dayton too. So now I got to go across town
Westwood.
and drop those kids at home and come back.
Something
would
tells
like
me
that
that you didn't always get paid. Like the club didn't always get its dues. You know,
That's
Gail's
true.
over shaking his head. It's like I'm thinking that there's a few times where you may have just said, you know, this kid just needs help.
Yeah.
You know, whatever the situation with his parents are, and
Right.
you know their financials and all that kind of stuff. But this kid just needs some place to go.
Right. Yeah. And the kids, not only did the parents need somebody to talk to the kids
Mm-hmm.
for them, but the kids needed somebody to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I've had so many times when kids was having problems with either at home or in school
Mhm.
or whatever,
Yeah.
and parents would ask me to talk to them. So, and on several occasions, I would take a kid or a couple of kids to Pizza Hut,
Mm-hmm.
and we sit down and have pizza and
Mm-hmm.
and talk about their problem at school or
Mhm.
their problem at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Matter of fact, matter of fact, Warren, probably most of the traveling that we did. Let's say the Nationals, for instance.
Mhm.
Sometimes the Nationals would either
Mhm.
be held in a hotel or close to a hotel,
Mm-hmm.
and those hotels were out of the reach for us to stay at those hotels. So
Mhm.
we'd go to a Motel 6, Motel 8.
Yeah.
But we were just happy to be among all with us. When you got, because we had caravans of cars going,
Mm-hmm.
and when it's about 5 cars, 6 car loads,
Right.
all staying at the same hotel, and
Yeah.
we all knew each other, playing with each other,
Mhm.
swimming, and so we didn't really think about how the other schools were staying in,
Mhm.
the ritzy hotels, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Right. Yeah.
But
I mean, places
Yeah.
like Connecticut and Little Rock, Arkansas,
yeah,
California.
California,
We
Colorado,
transported these kids.
everywhere.
There was one kid, and I think I might have told you, I don't want to repeat myself, but anyway.
It's all right.
Walter Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember that.
We were going to, the national tournament was in San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
and this kid, I think he was probably about 9, came across the bridge, and with his little suitcase in his hand, and got in the van. Well, it cost him $50, and he had $50. So he got in the van. We took him all the way to California. To San Francisco. Brought him back down through Disney to Disney World and Disneyland,
Mm-hmm.
and stayed in various
Wow.
various locations, judo locations, and slept on the mat. And we kept that kid 20 days.
Something like that.
Was he even a judo player?
Yeah.
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 We would stay because we knew the different instructors for all across the country,
Wow.
and so they let us just sleep in the dojo on the mat. And this one kid that I'm talking about, I have never met his parents.
Never.
Nope.
Even today, I don't.
And
know
he
his
stayed with
parents.
you for over
And
20
he was-
days.
And
We
he was
still
9
keep in
years
touch
old.
with Walter. When we were going through our illness this past summer, he called.
Where's he living now?
He lives here in Dayton.
He still lives in Dayton.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, he's got grandkids now.
And he was just a little kid. You say 9 years old or something?
9
Little
years
suitcase?
old.
And a
Wow.
lot, but that's just one, man. There's several parents
That's
that
just
we
one
never
incident.
met.
But they entrusted you with their children.
Never met him. Never met the parent. Never met his parents.
That's incredible.
He came
That's
in. He had. It cost $50 per kid
To
And,
take that trip.
to make that trip. He came across the bridge with his with his little suitcase and $50. Handed me his $50 and got in the van.
So to tell you how trusting he is, Warren, I think Mark and I were maybe 18 or 19, maybe 19 or 20, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a tournament down in North Carolina. And my dad let me and Mark take the van with about 8 or 9 tickets.
Wow.
So, we just barely not, out of our teenage
Right.
years.
Wow.
But now to piggyback on that, Warren, I knew my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You knew they were responsible
even
enough.
though they were only 19 or 20 years
Yeah.
old at the time, but I knew who
Take a
they
whole
were.
bunch of
Right.
kids with us.
And
So you trusted them because you raised them.
I
You
knew
that.
I
Yeah.
knew that they were gonna
Yeah.
that the
Yeah.
kids was in safe
Yeah.
hands. It wasn't somebody who gonna go out there and clown and
Right.
and race
Yeah.
something down the highway.
Yeah.
Had
Yeah.
a ball too. Went down there and cleaned the house down in North Carolina, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. So when you knew these kids that came from troubled backgrounds and maybe were having trouble themselves, in their own young lives, were there moments where you felt you were connecting with them? Where you felt that were you engaged them and then you saw a change in them?
Oh yes. Yeah, they would. The kids, they needed somebody to talk to and somebody to show that they was interested in them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they
Mhm.
needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in a lot of cases the parents just couldn't connect with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so
What I've seen in wrestling, so I know a coach, Don Jones is his name. He works out of Cincinnati. Wonderful man. Um, he takes inner city kids into his wrestling club from time to time, and also these wrestling camps that we used to take Hans to.
Mhm.
And every once in a while, and I'm not sure he charged them because I'm not sure they could even afford these camps. Some of these kids, but he would take 2 or 3 of them in there, and I always thought that was a wonderful thing for him to do, and I could see what he was doing, and I could see that some of these kids, it's like they gained some confidence in themselves,
Mhm.
and they kind of he helped them understand that they're worthwhile themselves,
Yeah.
they're worth something,
Right.
and that they can go places, you
Well,
know.
it's just like him. I mean, he paid for kids entry fees into tournaments, and that of course
Oh,
they
yeah.
had a AAU card, a
Mhm.
USJ card. He buy that for them. Their gis. I mean, he just give a kid a gi.
Yeah, yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah, I think that's the service that I think you guys provide that I think is just incredibly valuable and noble. You
I
know.
think one more thing, Warren, because as he instilled it in us as coming up and watching him do this, he said it wasn't fair to the kid when the parent either couldn't afford judo or
Mhm.
wouldn't afford
Mhm.
judo.
Mhm.
When the parent is sitting there filling their bills out, they got DP&L or
Mhm.
veteran and
Mhm.
rent and groceries, car payment,
Yeah.
insurance,
Right.
judo,
Yeah,
maybe one
yeah.
or two other, and now when something has to get cut,
Mm-hmm. Right.
it's gonna
be cut.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be the judo
Right.
that
It's not
gets
gonna be the
cut.
heat, right?
And he didn't think that it was fair to the kid,
Yep.
Right.
for the kid not to be able to
Right.
to participate.
Right.
So he just had him come on anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
The only thing, and a lot of times this didn't even happen. But if I collected enough to pay the utility bill, pay the DP&L,
Mm-hmm.
that was because in all cases, I owned the building.
Mhm.
I bought the building,
Mm-hmm.
and so there was no rent.
So there was no rent.
Right.
It was just the utilities that you had to pay.
If I collected enough to pay utilities, I was lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But we had
Nice.
we've had a lot of fun, and it didn't go. We didn't start it. It wasn't never something that we intended to make money off of,
Mm-hmm.
because we knew that
Mm-hmm.
the clientele that we were dealing with,
Mm-hmm. Right.
they
Didn't have a lot of money, right?
Didn't have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I recall a couple of years ago, we went this young lady had a graduation party. She's graduated from the University of Toledo, and had a graduation party.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started talking, different ones around,
Mm-hmm.
and different guests there. And you remember so and so? You remember so? Yeah, we remember so. And then I started thinking, all of these people here have some connection to judo. So I said, I made an announcement. I said, how many judo students in this room here?
Right.
In this room, come up here.
Mm-hmm.
25 people in this gathering.
Yeah.
25 people have been my judo students.
Wow. That is cool. That is cool.
25 of them.
That is cool. That is neat.
So I thought, that is neat. So I'm standing here in the center of this room, and when they kept coming up and kept coming up, and when they got through with them, counted them up, 25
That's
of them
awesome.
have been
That's awesome.
gone through my judo program.
That
In
is-
this one location.
That is
this,
incredible.
This is not even
Right.
Not even our event.
Right. That is incredible.
So before you go on, it's the 2 hour mark now. If you guys,
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned 2 hours is what you want to keep it to ish. So just giving you this is
Right.
the point,
Right.
so-
Right. Right.
Alright.
if you want to keep
Yeah.
going, it's fine.
Yeah.
If you want to
Yeah.
stop, it's
Yeah.
fine
They told
too.
me my wife is reminding me of the same thing.
Oh.
He'll keep talking if you don't.
Right on. Right on.
So it's
Right
up to
on.
you guys.
Yep. No, I'm about done myself for this session, and I was one last question. When you have your judo club, how do you get your members mostly? Is it through advertising, or is it kind of word of mouth, or do you go out and do you engage particular parts of the community to interest children, or?
Word of mouth. Somebody tells somebody, and
And they just show up one day at your
show
club
up.
and.
They show up. Yeah.
I found you through your outdated website.
A website.
Yeah, it was really old information, but I got somebody's phone number.
Yeah, thank God she found you guys.
Oh, okay.
That was very lucky for us.
Now we did early on. I remember putting an ad in the paper. This was about the second year. Okay, what happened there? The first year I had 90 some students. I think it was 93 or something. That came in and out and in and out.
This was for the first year of DayMac.
First year
Yeah.
of DayMac. But about the third year, it had dwindled down to just a few students, 5 or 6. And I remember telling somebody, one of the parents, it's not working out. I said, I don't have enough people here to make it worthwhile for me to continue. And this particular mother, she said, wait a minute. She said, give me 2 weeks, and I'm gonna have you some students in here.
What was that lady's name? Do you remember?
And I'm trying to think of her name as I go.
But she went out and got you some students, huh?
So the next week, she had now I had 3 or 4 or 5, whatever there. She had brought in a couple more. Those couple brought in 2 or 3 more, and pretty soon I was up to about 12, 15 students.
Nice.
Which was enough to make it worthwhile for me to continue with it. And that's how DayMac was able to continue, because it was on the verge of closing after the first or second year.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And who was the what was the name of that wrestler that I keep on mentioning? I keep on forgetting his name.
Kyle Ott.
Kyle Ott.
Yeah.
You know Kyle Ott. You remember you telling me a while ago.
Yeah.
You gave him a ride to a tournament.
Yeah. To Columbus.
And how did he find your judo? How did you guys connect? Do you know? Did he just show up one day and?
How did Kyle end up with the?
Did he come from Kitty Hawk? Or I mean, was he with somebody else and he came to us?
I'm pretty sure he was. He was wrestling.
I can't remember how
He's a
there.
famous. I know he was a famous Wayne wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think he eventually went to Graham.
Oh, okay.
The man was brilliant.
Cal
wrestling.
was a kid when he came to
Yeah.
us, man. I'm talking like I was say about 8, maybe.
8 or 9, yeah, somewhere
Yeah,
around
he was
there,
a kid.
and he went to
Iowa. Or was it Iowa?
Well, I know-
Ultimately, I have to look that up. I'm not sure.
I'm talking about. I'm recalling the championship. It was in. Was it in Cleveland or Columbus? Because it's in Cleveland. In Cleveland. Kyle was my only student in that that entered in that
tournament.
That tournament, that championship tournament. So.
And how old was he then? Was he? You say he was 9 at that point, or?
He was about 9. So now. And I'm gonna have to tell you. I'm gonna have to tell you this, and I want you to picture it. But anyway, Kyle, little white boy, blonde hair.
Sure.
His mother came to the office, my office right past,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, I want to give you Kyle's entry fee for the, and because I was going to go up, and she wanted me to make sure that he was.
So did his mom work on the base?
His mom worked on base in Area A.
Oh wow.
So she came over to Area B, and came over to my desk and so forth, and going to give. Boy, the people in my office was looking at that because she was a very attractive little woman with blonde hair and all that, and so she came over and gave me Kyle's entry fee because I was going up before they were. So when she came in and everybody looked at her coming over, and she sat down in my guest chair and so was talking to me, and everybody heard what we were talking about because we sitting and
Mm-hmm.
so, and she said and we'll be coming up like next day or
Mm-hmm.
later on that night or next day
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. They teased me, what's going on here? Hey, what can I say? But anyway, so I went on up to, and I'm pretty sure it was in Cleveland, and checked in,
Mm-hmm.
and so Kyle and his mother came later on, and when I came back to, and we just had a single room.
Right.
When I came back to the room, Kyle and his mother had checked in, and the next day we got up and went to breakfast. Kyle won. He won that tournament.
You did win that tournament, huh?
He won that division.
Was his dad there as well?
No, nobody came. As a matter of fact, her dad was separated.
They were separated.
Yeah, they were separated.
Wow.
And so when the tournament was over, I left from the tournament and came home.
Yeah, yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I still left her. Kyle, what was the mother's name? Sherry. But anyway, I left them there. But anyway, but the amusing part about it was the people in my office.
They been making fun of you?
Yeah, when she came over to bring me Kyle's entry fee.
That's interesting, but you drove him up to Cleveland. You guys drove up together, didn't you?
No.
Did Kyle? I thought Kyle came with you, and then his mother came after.
No.
So you came up first, you paid the fee, and then they came up after. I see. I got you.
Paid ahead, yeah.
Yeah.
They came up later on.
He's one of the best wrestlers this area has produced.
He was good. He was a
Woo,
good judo
guy
player
was
too.
incredible.
Cal was good. I mean, as far as I can remember, Cal was a good kid, man. He quick
Very
learner.
good, very good kid.
It must have been pretty intense out there on the mat on judo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was. And was her name Sherry?
I don't remember. I think when Cal was coming around, we were up on Fairview, I believe. Up there. I don't think he made it to
But anyway, that was I just happened to think of the.
That's neat. How long did he work with you in judo? How long was he with you think?
I think
Had to be years though.
yeah,
I
but
don't think it was just a matter of a year or two.
You think it was a few years?
I think it was longer than that. Mm-hmm.
I really can't recall.
Mark will remember that.
Yeah, Mark would probably remember, but I can't remember.
He's
when
Dr. Kyle Ott now.
Oh, is he? What college did he go to?
He's a doctor. He became
Looks
a
like-
doctor, huh?
At University of Illinois.
Okay,
They say he was so
fast.
fast on his feet on the mat, the wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
that wrestlers recall they could not hear his steps.
Yeah.
He was
You know?
good. He was good. He was good at wrestling. He was, and
He's still in the area too. He's an orthopedic.
He's in around Dayton?
Well, at least here is a primary care.
Really?
That's him, right?
Yeah, I think that is him.
Oh, I wouldn't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, that probably does look like him.
let me see.
So, does it say where he is?
It's in Beaver Creek.
That's him, isn't it?
Beaver
That's
Creek.
Kyle. That is him.
Okay.
Absolutely.
See, so there's a very
Well,
distinct
they know what
possibility that
he
you guys had impact on making him who he is as well. I bet he would tell you that.
Wow, that's tripped out.
That is
Cal
so tripped out.
Yeah.
That is cool. That is cool.
Wow.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite wrestlers from this area. He's really good.
Wow.
He's really something. But last closing question, just on something we talked about before. So the house that I pointed out to you, the house that you
Yeah.
recognize is your dad's house.
I had to look
That was on the first property, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was-
Yep.
I was 7. Well,
You're 7, 8 years old.
we are from birth to 7.
Birth, yeah. Right. So wherever I find that house, that should be where where the plantation is then, right?
And, yeah. And that house would have been owned by Will Hatch,
Okay.
Yeah.
Will Hatch.
and his mother, Grandma Lena.
I better get out of here.
Alrighty.
What's going on with that story?
Okay.
So, yeah. I don't want to cut you off in the middle.
Yeah,
of it.
we're getting out of here as well.
Yeah.
That was
See you
seven-
later there, Miss Toby.
Bye.
I was 7
Make
years
sure you
old
wash
at
your
that-
hands
at
since
the-
you touched my
at the time
iPad.
of that house.
Oh, yeah.
Go wash your hands.
That house.
I'll put do that hand
Okay,
sign. Oh,
that's good.
Yeah.
That'll be
Thank you.
very helpful to
Yeah.
me, and I'll do some more research on that.
Okay. The time that I'm talking about, so we was there from 1930
30 to 37, right?
30 to 37.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, I'm glad that I was able to show you that picture. And